Welcome back to Stephen A. 1181 WrestleMania review, day 2, night 2. Night 1, I already gave you my results on that, my review of that. So hopefully you can go catch that and go listen to my quick hits on that. So we're going to talk about night 2, and then I'll give you some final thoughts on what I thought about WrestleMania and where we should go forward. But let's kind of kick it off. We got the kickoff match, which was Liv Morgan defeating Natalya. Not much to say there. Liv Morgan gets the win over Natalya. Still don't know where Liv Morgan's going. She had that thing with Lana, then that went away, and now she's just kind of there. So we'll see where she goes as far as that's concerned. We start off the night then for night 2 with Charlotte Flair defeating Rhea Ripley. Now, I know people are going back and forth. First off, this match was pretty good. I thought, unlike Shayna and Becky, these two women seemed to fit well and had a physical style, a lot of grunting and oohing and ahhing. It felt like a women's tennis match. I know lots of people on Twitter were going back and forth saying they hope their families don't hear them in the background because they don't know what's going on. But I thought without the crowd, it did kind of give the intensity to it. We could really hear these women working their way through it. Charlotte defeats Rhea Ripley. I think it's going to be interesting moving forward. We don't even know we know that Raw's being taped tonight. SmackDown's possibly being taped somewhere. But then after that, I don't know. I think NXT's been taped. So Charlotte as NXT Women's Champion, is going to be important because whoever takes it off of her, gets the rub of being Charlotte Flair in NXT for the women's title. So yes, Rhea Ripley was, doing well and all that. But I think obviously taking the title off Charlotte is a little higher up on the food chain than taking it off Ripley. But so that's kind of there. Aleister Black defeated Bobby Lashley. Do I need to say anything more there? Probably not. So Aleister Black moves on. Came out with his demonic looking big old wings on his garb and all that. So, maybe we're seeing the end already of Bobby Lashley and Lana. Because I think Lana tried to help out and, she didn't. So are we head for anything there? I don't know. Otis defeated Dolph Ziggler. I did predict this correctly. Mandy Rose comes out. Sonya Deville tries to get involved. Mandy and Otis have the kiss. And there we go. So we're probably going to get Otis and Mandy versus Sonya and Dolph some point. Maybe Money in the Bank. Because apparently Money in the Bank was being advertised. Yet again, don't know if that's moving forward or not. Now we're getting to some of the good stuff. So Edge and Randy Orton. I know some people said this was too long. I personally loved it. I thought it was great. They were fighting everywhere. I can only imagine the cleanup that they'll have to do for all the different places they were. Their hands touching everything and all that. Their tears from Edge at the end where he didn't want to do what he had to do, but he had to do it. And I think just the, feeling of this is his first match. I know people were like, oh, Edge could have done this, this, and this against whoever. This made the most sense. This is somebody he's comfortable with. I just think it's funny to do a last man standing match as your first official match back. But, maybe this is a way for Edge to see how much he can really put his body through. And he definitely put his body through a lot. I mean, lots of different shots there, jumping off that, whatever that storage unit area was and taking chair shots. Taking the weight stuff. So everything worked here. And then I know some people had the complaint of the announcers weren't calling it the right way. I think with the announcers not saying a lot and letting Randy and Edge tell the story, I think that helped me out with it. I think that made it better in my own mind and, kind of gave it something we could really soak it in. Because we weren't hearing, Michael Cole talk over everything or Tom Phillips talking over everything, trying to plug this and this, even though they luckily don't do that as much. But I do think at times the announcers obviously talk too much over it, just like I'm probably talking too much over this now. But you got to let things simmer, let these guys tell the story, in which they did. Maybe I can kind of get behind, was it a little too long? Maybe so. But I think overall, in the grand, scheme of things, it worked. And don't know where Edge is going forward. Don't know where Randy Orton's going forward. Maybe Orton takes some time off. I think all these guys deserve the time off, and girls. I mean, they've put their bodies through a lot for us to escape from, life for 2 nights. So, if tonight, SmackDown and NXT, if this is their last week and they have to go take a break, I definitely think they deserved it. So, we had the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, defeat Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Here, Selena Vega tried to get involved, looking straight out of Triple H's entrance from WrestleMania 30 with her skulls on her body and all that. But and then we see Bianca Belair, so Montez Ford's wife, in real life. So I think that's gonna be a lot of fun for them to kind of work with each other. Maybe we'll get some 3-on-3 match here soon with those 6 people. Bayley defeated Sasha Banks, Naomi, Lacey Evans, Tamina. Tamina goes out first. Naomi goes out. Then we have Sasha, Bayley, and Lacey Evans. We have Sasha get eliminated, but then she comes in to help Bayley. I thought the best shot was Sasha standing on the entrance ramp, and Bayley, was holding up her title saying, "Nobody could touch me." We're seeing those seeds. Maybe SummerSlam is probably where we're going to see that full out. I don't know if it's going to be interesting, the dynamic. Is it going to be heel versus heel? Is Bayley going to go face de facto because of, Sasha turn on her? Is Bayley just going to try to, ask Sasha for a match? Something like that. So I think that's where the wheels are turning there. And I think it's also interesting with Paige being talked about a little bit. If Paige, we've already seen Edge come back. We've seen Daniel Bryan come back. I'll just throw it out there. Maybe Paige is working her way, trying to get back. I think it's telling that Bayley keeps calling out Paige if there's not going to be any payoff there. But then again, we don't know what Paige's status is. I think she does want to come back to finish things, just like Edge wanted to, just like Daniel Bryan wanted to. But we'll have to see. But I still think the bigger payoff is Sasha Banks and Bayley at SummerSlam. Let them just duke it out and, have another Brooklyn type moment there. So, all right. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, defeated John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse match. It's not a match. This was all over the place. This just showed, started with John Cena's ruthless aggression, started as, Bray Wyatt as the first incarnation of Bray Wyatt, at WrestleMania. I don't even know how to review this match because you just had to see it to see all these different avenues they were going. And I love that this was different from the Boneyard match. It wasn't set kind of in that thematic place. I just can't believe that Bray, Cena, Vince, they all worked together to create this because it hit everything. It made John Cena join the NWO, which is kind of like the heel turn that we've always talked about John Cena. It brought up kind of Hulk Hogan, being strong guy, back from Saturday Night's Main Event. It had Vince McMahon on commentary. It had, everything was out there. I did see some people's idea that it would have been a little interesting at the end if you just had Cena standing in the ring and then that's it. Or if, you don't cut to Titus, who's just like, I think that probably, that would have set the seriousness of it. But this was definitely well done. I can't even believe they got all of it planned, created that way. This is one of those things you can't ever do it again. This was it. I don't know what the Fiend can do. He can do some sort of Firefly Funhouse match, maybe actually have a match in the Funhouse. But there's no way you could ever do something like this again because this was made for this whole John Cena, Bray Wyatt idea. And once you go there, you can't touch it again. So you definitely have to check it out if you haven't. I'm sure you all have because obviously you're wrestling fans like me and you've watched it. But I thought, man, that was not what I expected, not what I thought. I thought maybe they might, have the puppets in the fun house, kind of like Pee-wee Herman type deal. But there is no way I would have visioned half this stuff. I almost feel like, a lot of people said they need to rewatch it because there's probably things you missed. And now you get, just sit it in its entirety and watch it again. But I think that is a good way to write John Cena off for a little bit. Don't know where Bray goes as far as this is concerned. I feel like he can't come back from it very much, but we'll see where he goes. And finally, we had Drew McIntyre defeat Brock Lesnar to become the new WWE champion. Everything was set up for Drew. This was exactly like the Universal Championship. Bunch of finishers, and it was over. But I just hate, you could see in Drew McIntyre the emotion come out. So I was glad we got to see that. But man, just think if this was in an actual environment and circumstances, yes, we couldn't do it. But just imagine what that would have been for him. I love seeing all the outpouring of support from different countrymen of him, on Twitter and all that. But Drew McIntyre is our new WWE champion. We have Braun Strowman as the new Universal champion. So we got the titles off of our part-timers as they are. And now we're, hopefully pushing ahead with some new contenders and moving along. So where does that leave us with WrestleMania? Personally, I would love to see it 2 nights. Maybe you mix in some NXT on night 1 or night 2. Maybe you mix up NXT TakeOver and you just put it. Now that we got Raw, SmackDown, and NXT all, kind of branded, I think you could do a mixture. You have some NXT, some Raw, some SmackDown, some NXT, some Raw, some SmackDown. So I think you do it that way. Hall of Fame on Friday night, Saturday night, night 1, Sunday night, night 2, call it a weekend. And, I think people can digest it better in a few hours. Night 1, a few hours, night 2. Obviously, night 2 was a little bit longer, but, I still think getting done before 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is probably a good idea. It kind of gives you a little more to work with. But, because then you'd still have Raw after Mania, the Raw after Mania, you still have SmackDown, you still have NXT. So, I personally want to see if they'll move forward. Like I said, throw NXT a couple nights. Right now they're going to do NXT TakeOver matches throughout. Like this week we get Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. One Last Beat, I think it's called, on Wednesday night. So I think you do need to try to think about doing the 2-night deal and, let it play out. Like I said, Hall of Fame, 1 night Friday, day night, or night 1 of WrestleMania and day 2. So, and, we'll see. I don't think they'll probably do it that way, but I think that you really got to consider it with the success you had. I think they'll see the good, some positive feedback they get on this idea. So that's it. I enjoyed WrestleMania. One for the books. I think it's going to be one of those that will always say, we remember where we were, we know what we were doing, and it was one of those unique situations that everybody stepped up. We'll see tonight, Raw after Mania. Usually the really big episode. Don't know what we're going to get tonight. Got SmackDown being taped somewhere, and then we'll have NXT on Wednesday night. So there you go. Follow me at Stephen A 1181. Let me know your own thoughts. I've seen some good feedback on what WrestleMania was, so glad to see that. And let's keep churning along. Talk to you guys later.